This video is going to focus on subtracting mixed numbers. Now if you notice, I have set these up a little bit differently than I did when we were adding mixed numbers, and there's going to be a reason for that. So let's say I want to subtract 2 1/3 from 3 4/7. I have it set up so that the bigger number is on top because I don't want a negative answer, and we can notice I don't have a common denominator. Common denominator is necessary for subtracting fractions. We learned that in one of our other videos. So we got to start off by getting a common denominator. I know 7 and 3 share a common multiple of 21. So that's going to be my common denominator between the two. 7 times 3 got me 21, so 4 times 3 gets me my numerator of 12. These are equivalent to each other. They're equal. If we were to divide them out, we would get the same decimal answer. I multiplied the top and the bottom by the same factor, which was 3. Now I have to do the same thing down below. 3 times 7 gets me 21, so 1 times 7 gets me 7. Now I have a common denominator. I can subtract. So we're going to start by subtracting our fraction parts. I have 12 21sts, and we're going to subtract 7 21sts. 12 minus 7 is 5, and our denominator stays 21. You might be wondering, do I have to do the fraction parts first for subtraction? And my answer to you is yes. We need to make sure that we subtract these first, because if we subtract these, and we end up having to regroup, which we're going to talk about next, we're going to have some trouble. So always subtract your fraction parts first after you get your common denominator. So now that we've subtracted the fractions, now we can subtract our whole numbers. 3 minus 2 is 1, and our answer ends up being 1 5 21sts. We don't need to simplify this fraction because 5 and 21 do not share any common factors besides 1, so we can call it a day and say that our answer is 1 5 21sts. Sometimes, though, as what happens with subtraction, we need to regroup. There could be a time when the fraction on the bottom is worth more than the fraction on the top. We need to learn how to do that. So let's first talk about regrouping when we have a mixed number. Here I have the mixed number 3 4/9. Now what does this mean exactly? It means I have 3 whole numbers, or 3 wholes of whatever we're dealing with, and then I have 4 pieces of a whole that's been split up into 9 total pieces. So if this was like a pizza, I'd have 3 full pizzas. Let's say I've got 1, 2, 3 full pizzas, and then I've got a 4th pizza that's been cut up into 9 pieces, and this isn't going to be perfect, so bear with me. There's 8, and oh, there's a 9. We should pretend that they're equal in size. I just can't do ninths that easily. And of that 9th pizza, we only have 4 slices. So if we needed to regroup, we would start by taking 1 away from our whole number. If I take 1 away from the 3, we're going to get 2. But we're not going to add 10 to our fraction, because we would add 10 when we're dealing with whole numbers or decimals, because those are in base 10. We deal with 10 digits. But here, we're dealing with ninths because of our denominator. So I'm not going to add 10, I'm actually going to add 9 ninths, because that's the same as 1 whole. 9 ninths is the 1 whole I took away from the 3. So if I did that, this becomes 13 ninths. All I really did was added the denominator to the numerator after I took 1 away, and it ended up with an improper fraction. That'll happen every single time, and it's necessary so that we can subtract. So let's see this in action. Let's set up a regrouping subtraction problem involving mixed numbers. I've started us off with 4 5/8 minus 2 7/8. I already gave us the common denominator to start off and making it easier for us. And if we notice, this has 7/8, this has 5/8. We can't take 7/8 away from 5/8 because that's too big. So we're going to have to regroup. Our 4 becomes a 3. And now that one whole that we're taking it away from, think to yourself, how many pieces is that one whole getting split up into? Hopefully you say 8, because it gets split up into 8 pieces based on our denominator. So our fraction is no longer 5/8, it actually becomes 13/8, because we're adding one whole, and the whole is made up of 8 pieces. So 8 plus 5 gets me 13. Now I can subtract 7/8, because 13 is bigger than 7. So that ends up with 6/8, and 3 minus 2 gets me 1. So my answer is 1 6/8, and after some simplification, because we should always simplify, and they both share a common factor of 2, we get 1 3/4. We've regrouped because our numerators, when we had a common denominator, had a bigger numerator on the bottom. We took 1 away from our whole number. We added 8/8 to 5/8, which gave us 13/8. Shortcut, just add your denominator to your numerator after you regroup, and then we can subtract like normal. Let's try one that doesn't have a common denominator to start off with, and see how a problem like that would work. So for our final example here, we're going to subtract 4 3/4 from 7 5/9. Hopefully you notice right away we do not have a common denominator, so we need to start off by getting one of those first. And since I know my multiples of 4 and 9, I know the smallest common multiple that they share is 36. So now we just need to get our numerators. Well, 9 times 4 gets me 36, so 5 times 4 gets me my new numerator of 20. And 4 times 9 down here, 4 times 9 is 36, so 3 times 9 is 27. And those are our two equivalent fractions. 20/36 is equivalent to 5/9. 27/36 is equivalent to 3/4. Well, we have our problem here. We have 27 on the bottom and 20 up top. So we cannot take away 27/36 from 20/36. This is too big. We need to regroup. So just like before, I'm going to take, well, let's use a different color. I'm going to take 1 away from our whole number, and this is going to become a 6. Now, that 1 that I took is 36 pieces out of 36, or 36/36. So I'm going to add it to here, plus 36/36, and that's going to give me 56/36, which is improper, but remember, we have regrouped one of our wholes into 36 pieces, and that's okay. So we have 56/36 now, and we're going to try to subtract 27/36 from it. Now this we can do. 56 is bigger than 27, so we can subtract finally. When we do subtract, 56 minus 27 is going to get us 29. And our denominator stays the same at 36. Now we have to do our whole numbers all the way over here. Remember, we took 1 away from the 7, so we're dealing with a 6. 6 minus 4 gets us 2. I'm going to write it over here since our mixed number, or since our fraction part is all the way over here. So 6 minus 4 gets me 2, and our answer ends up being 2 29/36. 29 is prime, so we cannot simplify, and there we have it. It's a lot of steps, but if you just remember, we regroup by taking 1 away from our whole number, and if you want to do it the easy way, add your denominator to your numerator, because it is equal to 36/36 here. That's one whole that we took away from here. and then we get our regrouped fraction that we can then do our subtraction with. It's a difficult concept, but with some practice, you'll be able to master it. I hope this helps, and good luck.